Oh, cool. Finally, it's working. So, this is a totally unpublished or unadvertised uh, Tech Tuesday with Tito Omar. How you doing, everybody? I did one last week, and I kind of had fun doing it, even though nobody came because it was advertised as a Q&A. But you know what? I'm terrible at communicating my plans, so I think what I'll do is just say when it's Tuesday at 11:30 Pacific time, Tito Omar's here to answer some questions. So if you're catching this live, feel free to text me a question, or I'm not even sure how this thing works. Maybe I can maybe we can get the videos to be on the same screen. I'm not sure. Anyway, last week was fun because I just went into the Facebook groups and shared some questions that people were asking in groups. It was just like a random selection of things people are thinking about, and I figured I could either go that route today, like do the same thing, or just wing it. I'm gonna try to wing it for a half hour until about noon, and if anyone has any questions, or you can text me through any of the media, so YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, and I'd be happy to entertain your questions. But I'm just gonna take this half hour to take a break from my other work and just talk about bike stuff. um, I just saw a few hours ago Matthew Van Der Poel uh, won a race, and I was thinking, is that something that people are interested in? Do people like watching bike races? And I'm not even sure. Um, but I really like Matthew Van Der Poel. I just like there's something so refreshing, or not refreshing, but like satisfying about watching just watching him continue to be at his best. Um, I'm actually I'm reading this book right now that's talking a lot about how the masculine side of the um, of humanity, I should say. And I was gonna say men, but the masculine exists in uh, in in anybody, I guess. And in some women, there's a strong sense of masculine, but that masculine essence has a mission, to sort of transcend boundaries. Um, and there's something satisfying about watching sports when we see people basically uh, going beyond expectation, cheating death. Um, these are the things boys like, right? And tomboys like. People like jumping out of trees. Just holy shit moments where you escape um, the 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 potential of death or something. That's why we're drawn to, I think, heavy metal music and skateboarding, and why we like to thrash. But in recent years, I feel like what's recent, maybe last 40 years, um, there's definitely been like a shift of these masculine feminine energies, a lot more balanced men and balanced women, where you get the masculine and feminine energies. And so the old macho cycling of the past, like maybe just like Eddie Merckx, the cannibal, like today we have, the same thing. There's still like that masculine thing going on, where there's just, beasts of men like winning stuff. But then you also see some beasts of women winning stuff and just doing stuff that turns your insides out, seeing what they're they're doing to achieve it. Sorry, I keep shaking the computer. But I don't know, something about it reminds me of the colors of bikes. Like in these past years, how there's this like infatuation with the 80s and like these kind of ridiculous Miami paint jobs and pink and teal and what is it, like cow print and just goofy stuff, like colorful, playful. I think maybe in reaction to all the seriousness that of cycling, maybe that macho masculine energy, path less pedaled, it's what it probably we needed a channel like that after a while, because to balance out the association of cycling with machismo, masculine only, no room for the feminine. And anyway, that just came to mind when I was watching Matthew win the race. And we've seen him, he had like a perfect record this cyclocross season, pretty much didn't lose anything. It's kind of amazing. And speaking of which, there's also Wout van Aert, and there's a lot of talk about him right now. He's like, what's it going to take for Wout to win? And Wout hurt his knee really bad a few months ago, and forget what tour it was. Is it the Giro? No, I can't remember. It was the Tour de France? I don't know. But Wout has a special place, I think, in the hearts of fathers, because here's a guy, I'm a father, and here's a guy who's like just this beast of a bike rider, doing things in world tour stage races that he surprised us many years ago coming out of cyclocross, and he's like winning sprints, and then he's like challenging on these like uphill climbs, and he can climb and he can time trial, and he's just such a good rider. And then he has his family, and I don't know how many kids he has now, but to be like one injured but then also have your kids, just it blows my mind how much energy it takes to do all of that, to be a dominant cyclist, but then to be there for your kids and to also mentally recover from an injury when like your best competitors, Mathieu van der Poel, aren't pushing against the same challenge of injury. But then for him to come back and to get a couple good races under him in cyclocross, but then now he lost I think he got, what was it, 7th or 11th or something at Omloop a few days ago, and he was favored to win, and there's all these questions like, oh, what's wrong with Wout and stuff, but I don't know. I don't think anything's wrong with Wout. I think he's awesome. In fact, what this reminded me, what it reminded now of what I wanted to mention was, despite the fact that Mathieu van der Poel is doing all like the winning, between the two of them, and like just showing such dominance, I can't get enough of how much just class and grace Wout has when he like gets those post race interviews. Like, he's such a level-headed, positive person that I know he's way younger than me, but he's way beyond my years when it comes to like the ability to keep things in perspective and just see it as a good effort, but have to try for another day. I just feel like he's such a good role model for just the mental aspect of being a competitor. And not to say that Matthew isn't. I actually it's probably equally impressed with Matthew, but there's something about Wout, knowing that he's a dad, that makes me feel like I don't know. It makes me feel like he's just one level. He's going through a little bit more, so it makes him respect him that much more. So that's a little. I wasn't expecting to talk about racing, but I do like watching bike racing, which is like a funny thing for me because I like vintage bikes like this one behind me. I've been trying to work on a video for this one for a few weeks now, and something's always gone wrong. Like my mic didn't work, or I didn't get enough time to edit it, or one time I lost my. Actually, this is a new phone. I lost my phone with all bunch of footage, so I'm trying to take it in stride, and I'm enjoying making videos, but they take so much like time and energy for me that I'm like I'm kind of just taking the pressure off myself to do it. But I do want to say this bike is really cool, and even though I haven't done a video on it since it's here, I'll just say that wherever I go, and there's a bike person, like at a bike shop or on a bike ride or something, and people see this bike, I kind of love how it always gets a second glance, like what the heck's going on there? Because it's a road bike with let me turn this, boop, with a big ass tire, and I kind of have grown to love this bike more and more and more. But strap this on. There we go. Sometimes I'm working on the bike stand and I'll put a strap on there just so I can stare at the profile of my bike without the bars turning. I don't know if you know what that feels like, but that's what it is. There was a really cool account on Instagram. What is like Bicycle Epoch? It's some like vintage bike mechanic. He's super like annoying. I bet he would be really annoying in real life, but maybe he would be my friend because he's super goofy. But he had a video the other day where he's like it's like a meme, like when he tells his friends he's got plans for the night, he can't go out, and then he shows himself like having a glass of wine just staring at his bikes. I know that feeling. So what should we talk about? I think I was gonna just hop back on to some of the Facebook bike repair things that are going on. And oh cool, Nathan's here watching. Let me know if you want to talk about anything, Nathan, but I'm just gonna go through this Facebook page real quick. There's this one guy on the bicycle repair group on Facebook. 235,000 members, and let's see what it says. Ludwig Philipp. Ludwig. Ludwik. He posted, bit of a strange question. If I have an 8-speed cassette, Shimano 105 5500, so like an old 8-speed derailleur, and I would like to change to a Link Glide 10-speed with a 10 or 11-speed chain, would I have to replace the pulley set in my rear derailleur to adjust for narrower chain? I have friction shifters with enough movement range, thank you. Actually, I'm reading this, and I actually saw this before, and what what kind of came to mind was the first comment I saw was someone, a certain Peter, says, nice looking bike, the pulleys will be too thick to accommodate the narrower chain. Whether you can just change the jockey wheels, I'm not too sure. Maybe need to replace the rear mech. What do others think? Oh, huh. I think he might have, sounds like he changed his answer there. But anyway, at first it sounded definitive, like, no, you can't do that. But I was like, no. I said, I'm not exactly sure how Peter got to that, but it's basically not true. Yeah, basically you can run 11 speed chains on 8 speed derailleurs. So if you can run an 11, you can run a 10 and a 9. In fact, most of my bikes that have an 8 speed derailleur don't have an 8 speed chain. It's fine. You can do it. Which is kind of nice, isn't it? The issue is if you have an 8 speed crankset, um, I'm not going to pull it, cranks it out, but the chain can get stuck in between the chain rings. Oops, sorry. The chain can get like stuck right in between them, or like just slide and like never engage in either chain ring. So that's where you'll get some trouble, in which you kind of have to be careful what chain you put on, or figure out a way to. It's kind of hard. You can't really decrease the distance between chain rings, but maybe you can get a different crankset that is designed for 10 speed spacing and use the same chain rings if you really want those particular rings, and to just kind of get them closer together. But in general, if you're going to use a narrow chain than the derailleur is designed for, stick with a narrow wide front chain ring, and have the chain ring spacing match the chain. So like no different than maybe one gear. So if you're running 11 speed chain, don't run an 11 speed chain on a 9 speed double. Maybe a 10, but that's about as wide as you want to go. So let me see if, let's just move to another question. I'll just go down. So people ask all kinds of questions. What hanger? Oh my gosh. Yeah, someone's trying to figure out what hanger they need to get. Yeah, if you've ever broken a derailleur hanger, sometimes there's a number printed on the rear derailleur hanger and you can figure it out. But the way I do it is you can either look it up. You can actually, I usually go to Wheels Manufacturing's website, and you can just look it up by the brand and the year. But like take your bike, like a 2008 Cannondale F6, you can go to the website and look up Cannondale F6 from 2008, and it'll tell you like the kind of derailleur hanger you'll need. But a lot of times I don't know what year it is, and I don't know, I don't have the details. So what I do is just take a picture, or just look at it, look at the derailleur hanger you have, and sometimes it's in two pieces, and just look at it real close, and you just go to the website and you just pick like, is it a 2-bolt or like 3-bolt? Does it, and you can kind of start to match up based on its shape. And that's usually how I find it, just by, it's like puzzle searching, like looking for a matching puzzle piece. It might take a little longer, but it's kind of cool how you can just find it and get it. The bummer about ordering hangers sometimes, though, is you can't really test the hardness. And so I've had this happen with a few Wheels Manufacturing rear derailleur hangers, where you get it and it's like, it's perfect shape, but then you get it and it lines up. You don't have to straighten it. It comes like perfect, but then it's a little, when you put the derailleur hanger alignment gauge on it, and you kind of just get a sense of how stiff the aluminum is. It's not as stiff, or it might not be as stiff as the original one. But better to have a derailleur hanger, I guess a soft derailleur hanger, than none at all. So I don't know. I hate that situation when the derailleur hangers are too flimsy. Which brings up another thing. What's his name? I saw a video by Sick Biker, a guy's channel who I kind of used to watch with a little bit of cringe. I don't know what it is, but I've grown to like him over the years, just because he's so persistent, so consistent. He's just into it. He's really into his bikes and the details. But since I don't run like like a super busy shop with all the new tech anymore, partly by choice because this is the kind of bike I like, and I'm sort of in that place where I don't know if I feel like I just want to wait it out, almost as if I'm hoping it'll all go away, like a lot of this new technology. Not that I don't like the technology, but it's like, um, like these new like SRAM derailleur mounts. It's like uh, UDH or whatever. It's like there's something about the acceleration of the change that just um, I haven't like felt this much shift in technology in so long. This is probably how it felt for a lot of bike mechanics around 1990, I imagine, when I started. But it's like it's starting to be not that it's unrecognizable. It's just like I don't know what it is. It's like you just don't need me for this one. Like go ahead, do all the new stuff. I'm not I'm not feeling it here. So like leave it to the people that are super stoked. But I don't want to be. I'm not really into the. I don't really want to go to the party. So UDH is the thing Sick Biker was talking about, and like I said, I'm watching him because I get to kind of uh, be in the bike shop vicariously and watch people deal with the new issues. And one of the things he was talking about was how the derailleur hanger, this UDH derailleur hanger, which kind of braces both sides of the dropout, is so strong, like it doesn't move. So what bends instead of the derailleur hanger is the whole entire derailleur, which I think is like pretty. I mean, it's yeah, that sucks. But in concept, it's like, oh wow, that's an interesting narrative. That's like a really interesting when you try to squeeze all the like you try to just make it all good right here, you just make it the best, and all of a sudden like you didn't see that you were creating a new problem. Wait, can't see my hands. So you're making it all good here, but then all of a sudden there's this new problem introducing itself, and a problem we never had before really, where the derailleur hanger was so strong that the whole derailleur would bend around it. you know wow, I never really thought of that. I mean, I've seen bent derailleurs. I've had to deal with derailleurs that like wouldn't work, and it was hard to figure out why, because the whole thing was bent. But it wasn't because the derailleur hanger was too strong. It's because the thing got like mangled in the spokes or something severe happened to it. But I don't know. That's just one of those kind of has those meta lessons when you try to make life, life is 50-50, 50% good, 50% bad. You work towards the good, but the bad never goes away. That sort of thing. Anyway, let's keep it on bikes. Oh, it's almost 12. So what else is there? I might keep this to half an hour today just because it doesn't have to be forever, but all I want to do is chat bikes and give you a chance to chime in. There's a couple questions that, oh yeah, I might as well do this. This is another thing I was thinking to do. I put out a few videos over the past month or two, like one on the Shimergo method, just the more recent one, and one on my fixation quiver gravel bike. And I really just wanted to say thanks for all the people that watched it, and thanks to you for like your enthusiasm. And I got a lot of encouraging comments, pretty much all encouraging comments. I got one really gnarly, nasty one. I don't know, not nasty, but it was just like kind of funny because I'm like, you're just making a video about what you do to a shifter and someone's really upset. Anyway, oh yeah, so that's a good one. The hubbub method. Russ from Pathless Pedaled featured it on one of his like new hotness things in his one of his videos. So thanks Russ for plugging that. And there was some really cool there was some comments from people saying things that I hadn't mentioned, and I'll actually, one of them was from my friend Jason on Facebook. Well, he's my friend, but he sent me this message on Facebook that one of the things that he does is he uses a SRAM exact actuation rear derailleur with a 9-speed shifter, 9-speed Campy shifter, and a 9-speed Shimano cassette. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because for a long time that exact actuation derailleur was the one people would use to get Campy 10 shifters to work with Shimano 10 rear derailleurs. And I had a couple successes with that method, and I had a lot of it just didn't work situations, which kind of led me to this idea of consistency. Like, is it a solution if it sometimes works? And I would have included that in the video, except it wasn't consistent enough for me to say like this is going to work every time. Whereas the hubbub method that well, not on this bike, this actually used to have it. I actually switched to down tube shifters on this one, but what the hubbub method, which I show on my other bikes, that one's just, it works every time. And but what Jason did that was different is that he did, instead of trying to match 10 to 10, he did 9 to 9. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's just one less gear to have to dial it for. And anyway, it made me want to try it. And there was another comment by someone who was like, the one thing that he likes to do is take an old 8-speed Campy shifter, and oh yeah, I should mention Jan Ulrich liked that shape more, like the old shape. And when the newer one came out in like 1998, he had them like, I think 10-speed, the old shifter, so that he could stay with that old shape, which I think is interesting, because that's how I feel about the following generation, like when they went in 2008 from like the version 2 to the version 3 shape. But anyway, the main thing is some people like that shape, and he likes to use those old 8-speed shifters. But I think he said he takes a 7-speed cassette and then he adds a cog to it, because 7-speed is ever so slightly wider than 7-speed is slightly wider than a Shimano 8, and it's a little bit closer to a Campy 8. So you get the hyperglide shifting, wider ranges. You can add like a larger cog. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting one. I'd never tried before, and it got me thinking. Maybe I'll make one more video, even more niche, more esoteric, more potentially uninteresting. Because who the heck wants to do this? I don't know. I just wanted to make a video because I like to do it. There might be like 3 other people in the world that are going to be like, oh, I've never heard about that. Let's try this. No, there's more than that. And luckily, I think I found some of you in the comments. But I'm glad for those of you who were interested or wanted to try it. I'm glad you found the video, and I hope it works out for you. And if it doesn't, at least you know it's a weird thing to do. A thing to talk about at some party where everyone's captivated by derailleur ratio adjusting. Someone said, very concise but still complete video about it. Thanks a lot. I didn't know about the brake leverage. Oh yeah. If I can add another method, oh yeah, This is the guy. Oh no, there's another one. Yeah, there's a guy who said if I can add another method using a 10 or 11 speed campy shifter with a rear Shimano derailleur from the 11 speed era or the 10 speed Tiagra, basically uh, new Shimano, and yeah, Tiagra 4700. You can use them with the 10 or 11 speed Shimano cassette without problem, so without hubbub method, just the traditional clamping method. I tried that on a gravel converted Specialized Crossroads from 1993, 1994 with a stock triple crankset, 48, 38, 28, and 1128 the back using cheap used Campio Veloce 10 speed levers and a used Shimano Tiagra 4700 long cage rear derailleur. I didn't change the front derailleur, by the way. It was still stock Altus C20 like the crankset. Okay, so that's cool. I mean, so basically he's saying he took a 10 speed Campio Veloce shifter, paired it up with a modern road Shimano derailleur, and didn't have to do anything. It just worked. Got all 10 speeds. But this is where I'd say this is where I look for the consistency, because I have seen people try that and it didn't work. And who knows if it's how they set it up, but I'll just give you the case of one of my friends who you probably know really well through his YouTube channel, Henry Wildberry. Mr. Wildberry did a video on his Shimergo modification where he actually, it wasn't an ultra shift shifter, but he took the little plastic bits out of I don't know, power shift I think it was, and he filed down the little pulley wheel in there so that the last few shifts wouldn't overshift. And he filed it down just so, because it was basically pulling too much cable on the like the pulley wheel inside the shifter. And knowing how much he had to file down, it was like, and he did a lot of measuring. He's an engineer, but it just clued me to the fact that they don't match. They don't match enough. So yeah, I feel like if it's working for you and you're not complaining, that's probably all that matters. But having seen that, I was like, you know, how bad do I need the extra 10th gear? Maybe it's good to have as an option. Like maybe you've got those parts lying around, you might as well try. And especially if you're too cheap to buy any new stuff. But yeah, so there's like, those are like three new like ones. There's a SRAM exact actuation method that Jason used. There's the other method where the guy like here uses the the new Shimano derailleur pull ratio, like Tiagra 4700 or the newer like GRX 105, all that stuff. And then there's the old, taking the old shifter and using a 7-speed Shimano cassette and adding a cog. So there's more ways to do it, and the video is obviously not exhaustive on all the ways you could mix Campy and Shimano, but it's just an interesting topic. It's sort of a, I don't hang out on online bike forums. I just don't enjoy the format, so I really don't watch it that much. I actually enjoy kind of like the Facebook format, but I get kicked out of the comments, not by the moderators but by my own impatience with a lot of the answers, because it's a mixed bag. One of the best things I heard this week was it was just yesterday. Someone said they were actually looking for advice on a bicycle home, like was it bicycle home mechanics. They were looking for some advice on wheel building, and it was motivated by the fact that there was a job opening at Bird Spokes in I think in Wisconsin. And if I was closer to the Midwest, I'd probably be like, oh, I'd check that job out. I'd love to build for Bird. That would be awesome. But he had no wheel building experience, and so he was looking for advice. But the question he put up was, are there any is anyone here experienced with wheel building? Are there any experts? I think that was a question. And I was like, wow, you're just setting yourself up for some interesting answers there. But the best answer at the top I saw was, hey, this is, you're on Facebook, or this, everyone's an expert. And it's kind of true, like how, not that everyone's an expert, but everyone comes off as one. Uh, and I am technically an expert because I've been doing bikes for 30 years, but I'm expert enough to know that I actually don't know everything. And as hard as I try, I know I have to basically pick my battles, I guess, or choose which lanes I want to know the most about, because there's like breadth and depth. So I tend to go deep on some esoterics. Not I keep using that word, but I just mean like, I mean nobody really cares about that, but I still get interested in it, like in a really autistic way anyway. But oh yeah, by the way, speaking of autism, um, well, who knows? Maybe I'm a bit on the spectrum. Maybe you're a bit on the spectrum. Shouldn't we all just be on the spectrum? Aren't we all on the same spectrum? What is the spectrum? In what way? But one cool thing this week, and this is only related to the channel because I try to talk about things that are interesting to me. But another thing that's interesting to me is maybe the word is epistemology. Is that the word I'm looking for? You smart people let me know, but it's basically the study of how we know things. Like studying how we know what we know. And there's like this whole thing with I don't know if you've heard of the like kids luminary luminous kids. There's a woman in San Francisco, Dr. Edith Ubuntu Chan, I believe. But anyway, she does this program, or she sets up this program. My wife is mostly behind getting my kids involved in this, but it's like they talk about they actually get children to be able to see, like, with a blindfold on. And my daughter my 7-year-old participated in this the other day, and I had no expectations. I actually couldn't believe the stories I had heard leading up to it, but there's like a guided thing where the kids keep a blindfold on, and this is all online, and my wife is with my daughter while I was watching my other 3-year-old, so I didn't get to watch it. But my wife and my daughter reported to me that after some time of having the blindfold on, my daughter was starting to be able to see so they started putting up objects on the screen, and while the kids had the blindfold on, they were like kind of individually tested, and everyone else on mute, so no one's like hearing what each other's saying. But my daughter was able to identify the objects that they were showing on the screen through the blindfold, like she wasn't seeing it. So yeah, and it doesn't require, I think why they're working on kids is that as adults we've sort of turned off this innate ability to there's another sense besides, that's not just our eyes. There's another way we perceive. And part of the way I believe this is, well, for one, my daughter just proved it that she could see through a blindfold. But prior to that, like my my youngest 3-year-old, she'd wake up at night, and she's at the stage where you basically, you're not, no one's gonna, nothing's gonna, she's not gonna go back to sleep unless you comfort her and put her to sleep. So I had often, especially these past few months, it's getting better now, but I've had to get up like 4 or 5 times at night just to kind of pat her back and make sure she felt okay. And then it kind of went to 3 times, and now it's like just maybe once, maybe twice. She basically can sleep through the night now. But when I would get up out of bed, I'd have to actually hop off a bunk bed to get down to her, because sometimes she would sleep on the couch because she just wants to fall asleep on the couch. But as I'm getting out, I'm like kind of out of it, and I don't even open my eyes, but like I can, without thinking about it, I know where the couch and I know where everything is. I like don't have to think about, I don't have to open my eyes. I know where to step in the dark. Like, and in fact, if I open my eyes, I fear I won't know where to go. But it's like a weird sort of, I don't know what phase your mind is in when you just jump out of bed in the middle of sleep, but it kind of gives me a clue as to what's possible with kids. But anyway, yeah, bikes. Maybe I'll do one more question. No, I won't. I'm gonna wrap it up now because I talked enough about bikes and slipped in a little bit a story about Luminous kids, and that should do it for today. So for real, if you I'm gonna post this on YouTube as a Tech Tuesday with Tito Omar. In Tagalog, it's more like Tito Omar. And you can ask questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. But I'm just going to use this as a way I can stay in touch with you, and just if you want to join me. Actually, next week I want to do an interview with someone who I met on Instagram. He goes by Yankee Peddler. His name's Chris, and he's just such an interesting kindred spirit, I should say. Like, some people, you like look at their posts and you just hear their words, and you got a sense that you not only like are into bikes in a similar way, but you have like a certain vibration you're both on. So I'd like to get him on and just maybe learn more about him. His bikes, he just recently got a new Fitz cycles, and I'm just sort of interested in that whole process of getting a Fitz, because the only one I know who has Fitz cycles bikes is Mr. Wildberry and Miss Cools, because they're friends, and like they're always getting new Fitz bikes. Oh yeah, but now Henry Wildberry did a video on his new road bike that he built. This is really a fascinating and fun thing to watch, all the videos. But I wanted to interview Chris because he's just like keeps buying all the bikes that I'd buy and more. He's just got really good taste. He's like a really nice guy, and it'd be nice to talk about that process and the nuances and the differences he notices with all his different bikes. So yeah, hopefully we can get Chris on in the next one. So I hope you have a good day. Enjoy Wednesday, and keep the rubber side down.